Okay, I'm here to share stories with you. It is story time. Story time that will hopefully, over this journey, motivate you, inspire you, whatever it is. The reason why I'm sharing my story is I sort of wish that I had someone to push me in the right direction 5 years ago. Okay, so in case you don't know me, my name is Mariah. I founded my own business in 2019. I've done a lot of traveling and originally started this vlog to share my digital nomad journey and just really for myself. But now I feel really called to share what I've recently gone through to hopefully Okay, so I'm gonna read from my journal what I wanted to achieve from this because I just feel like it's more natural for me to do that. So let me find it. So the reason I'm doing this is to not connect with people who have gone through what I've been through, although I would love to obviously, but it's not the purpose. But really what it's here to do is to help women who are in their 20s, and if you're a male, that's fine, to see that this could potentially be you if you don't take action. And the action doesn't have to mean making drastic life changes, but really it's just becoming more aware. So it's to gain perspective. For me, I gained perspective that maybe I would have gotten when I retired, but I have it now, which is something I never expected to get. So I'm here to share that with you, to resonate with people that have done all the things that I did. I don't want to scare you. I don't want you to think that you could end up with a serious health problem or anything like that, but I just want to bring it to life because, you know, I had those sayings of, you can sleep when you're dead. You know, I just need to get one more thing done and then I'll go to bed. I ran myself into the ground. So I really just want to share with you the beginning of this story and then continue this journey on of just what I've learned. I'm not here to give you medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I am here to just share my message and share my journey to help you, to inspire you, whatever that looks like. I guess it wouldn't make sense without context. So really this all started in 2016. I had Fat Friday lunch at work. It was like Indian food and like just pigged out. And then went back to work and I was like, oh, I have this really bad pain in my stomach, like maybe a bit of indigestion, I'm not really sure, but it was really bad. So I said, I've got to go home. I can't concentrate. So I lived in Melbourne, Victoria at the time in Australia, and I drove over what is called the Westgate Bridge, massive bridge. Driving over it and I was like, you can't pull over there. There is nowhere to pull over. I was like, I remember calling my mum in tears and she was crying too because she's like, I don't know how to help you. Like, what am I meant to do? Anyway, as soon as I got off the bridge, I parked at the service station and rang my mum back. She's like, you're gonna have to call an ambulance. I'm originally from country Victoria. No one was gonna be able to come get me. So I rang the ambulance, went to the hospital, and it was just pain that could have been caused from gallstones. So they said, look, we think it might have been your gallbladder, book in to see a specialist and, you know, they will probably remove your gallbladder. Okay, mum had to drive 2 hours to come get me from the hospital. It was just like, you know, such an ordeal. Anyway, so I was diagnosed with gallstones and in February 2017, I had my gallbladder removed. The removal sort of meant that I had to be more mindful of the fat that I ate, but you know, most of my friends I knew that had their gallbladder removed, like, you know, it's kind of like pain-free. You should be fine. Yeah, okay. This was not the case for me. As I said, I had friends that had their gallbladder out and they did not have nearly as much pain as what I did. It was like when you would go out and drink and have fun maybe like have dinner before you went, ate cheese, all that stuff. And yeah, the next day you might be like a bit hungover and a bit bloated. Like this was to the point where I would sleep next to the toilet because I didn't know what was coming out of. I was just really not in a good way at all. So this went on for a year and a half. I started to put on weight. I put on like 15 kilos in this time. I was exercising more than I'd ever had before. I was really mindful of what I ate majority of the time, but I was also drinking on weekends. But I want to stress, it was nowhere near, you know, it wasn't like anything to the point where you would look at me and say, Mariah, you have a problem. You drink too much. You go out, you party too much. It was just me being in my 20s, having fun. So I just was like, I don't know what's going on with my body. And this comes down to the number one point, body awareness. I was like, I don't know, must be fine. So I just kept going on. It wasn't until I boarded a flight, or should I say could not board a flight from Ho Chi Minh to Siem Reap. I was in so much pain. I eventually did get on that flight, but I was like, there is something not okay with me. During this time of 2018 was when I really started to do more work on myself as well. Journaled a lot, meditated a lot more than ever before. So it was sort of this transition of I'm becoming more aware of what's not okay for me. Anyway, we went on this tour in Vietnam and there was a lady on this tour and we mentioned something about me being really sick and not being able to board. I think it was just before we caught one of the flights. I was a bit like, ooh. And she said to me, you need to get that checked. I still had gallstones after my gallbladder was removed, and I had the exact same pain that you are describing to me. So I was like, all right, when I get back to Melbourne, I need to get this checked. I got back in like early December, of course, the silly season, Christmas. I went in 2019, I booked in to see a GP. And the one thing that I guess helped me along this journey was having a solution for my doctor. To go into my doctor and say, hey, I need this. I didn't say there must be something wrong with me. I just said, hey, I need this. Like, I want to get this checked out. So I went into the doctor and said, I feel like I still have stones. I still have all this pain. I spoke to someone, can I get an ultrasound on my gallbladder? That's what I asked for. So she delivered that. So what come back from that was extremely interesting. So that result was that there was some form of spot on my liver. I was like, what do you even mean? So the doctor said, I want to refer you to a liver specialist and you get some MRIs and they'll check out what this spot is. So she put me through the public health system where if you're from Australia, it's amazing. It's all covered if you go through the public health system. Of course, you have to wait a little bit, but you know, it, for me financially at the time, really helped me out. So I went and saw this liver specialist at St Vincent's in Melbourne and they did an MRI and she said to me, look, and I can't even, the problem with me is, and you might relate, when a doctor tells me something, I'm just like trying to concentrate on what's going on and I never ask questions and I'm like, okay, cool. What was the name of that again? Can I write that down? Like, that is what I will recommend you do from now on. But I was like, okay, spot on my liver. She mentioned the name. I couldn't even tell you what the name is now. I'm sure if I looked on my files, probably wouldn't even be able to pronounce it anyway. She said I had a spot on my liver and to come off the pill. And she said, they look like they could be precancerous, but just get off the pill for now and we'll see what happens. One, terrifying, like why? Come off the pill. That's a whole other YouTube video that I need to create. So I went off the pill, went to Europe, 6 weeks, had an absolute ball. And then when I come back, I had another MRI. She said, I want to see you in 6 months. So this was July 2019. And then I would go back in December 2019 to get my next MRI. So my next MRI in December, come back and she said, look, I'm really happy. Nothing's changed. Obviously stay off the pill. But I would like to just monitor this. So we'll get another 6 monthly scan. I said to her, okay, cool. Should we book it a little bit earlier though? Because I'm planning on traveling the world in 2020. Funny joke. And then, you know, see how it goes from there. She's like, no problem. Of course, if you need any MRIs after that and you're in the UK, you're in Europe or something, you know, we can sort that out. So around May 2020, obviously the pandemic happened and I was like, okay, won't be traveling now. I got my next MRI. She said to me, what's come back is something on your bowel. And what we need to do now, and if you just heard that, my stomach obviously knows I'm talking about it because it just made a noise. Anyway, she said to me, let's get this EUS. So it's an endoscopic ultrasound. It is a camera down your throat. And that will show us what this spot is on your bowel, what is going on. So in June 2019, I went down to the hospital again and got, it's called an EUS, camera down the throat. You get a bit of anesthetic and you go under, you're awake. It's like a 30-minute thing. You're awake within, an hour and you go home. They told me that they wanted to do another one because they sort of missed parts. They didn't have the right tool. Okay, cool. We went into hard lockdown, like hard lockdown. So that didn't happen straight away. So we just played the waiting game and we're in lockdown. And when you're waiting on results, you just completely it just goes out of your head, right? And this is also good because ignorance can be bliss. But at the same time, we just live our lives as normal. You know, in between the little periods of lockdowns or at home, I would drink or whatever, live my life, work my ass off. I was working so much during lockdown because cool, spare time. Let's just work on my business even more, flat out and have no breaks. So I think when we're waiting for results, sometimes we don't actually think, okay, what can I do now to help my health later? But we live and we learn, right? So it got to October, they're like, you're booked in, get your EUS, all the same procedures. And as I come out, they give you paperwork, and at the bottom it said carcinoid tumor ? Now, I didn't have my next appointment with my liver specialist because I was still with the liver specialist, even though it was my bowel. Anyway, not sure. I Googled carcinoid tumor. It was terrifying. But as I said, when you're waiting for results, sometimes you just keep living your life. Obviously, we're coming out of lockdown then, so I went out a few times, drinks, all of that. And then I had my telehealth appointment in November with my specialist. And she had told me that there was one tumor on my bowel. It was called a carcinoid tumor. It was benign, and they would have a team to review it and they would decide whether it got removed. That was a shock to me to begin with. Even when someone says that you have a tumor, it's like, what? And I was paralyzed. I didn't ask any questions because I just wasn't expecting that to be the outcome, right? I was fine when I got off the phone, and I just remember, and I've got a video of it, so I'll probably just play it for you. I was not okay that day, and I wasn't okay that whole weekend. And gosh, I wish that girl back there knew what was coming. So what I forgot to mention was, of course, it's moving to Sydney, 10 days after I had that appointment over the phone. So I explained to my doctor, and she said, obviously I'm a liver specialist, I need to graduate you onto the bowel, they call it upper GI, upper gastrology, I think, maybe. And she said, yeah, they'll review your case. Even if you're in Sydney, we can graduate everything to St Vincent's in Sydney. Okay, cool. Again, yeah, I have a tumor. Yeah, okay, now it's something to stress about, but you just push it aside, right? And then I had my appointment, and this part is just it was just so fast. It hit me like this. So I went to Sydney in December, first week of December. By the 28th of December, I was going in to see my surgeon to discuss outcomes. So what they sort of explained to me was, in fact, I had 2 potential tumors, one on my bowel, one on my pancreas. And what they needed to decide was what operation they would take. And that would depend on how the tumor in my pancreas was what was it? They didn't know. And I remember on the 28th of December 2020 going into the doctor and leaving just so scared of what was gonna happen next to me. Because you just think like you live your life so healthy, or you think you're healthy, but you just really don't know what's going on inside of your body. So I took time, like I was obviously so shocked because one of the procedures would mean like massive recovery, and the removal of these 2 tumours. I would lose part of my pancreas, part of my bowel, and part of my stomach. And like, I already lost a fucking gallbladder. And I was so positive, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. You know, the tumour in my pancreas will be fine and they won't need to cut it out. Like, a month ago I was told it was benign and I had 1 tumour, and then a month later it's like, you could need half your fucking organs removed, right? I need a minute. Whew. I didn't think this would make me so emotional. So anyway, I had like, everything was so prompt, like, be here, we need you here, get this done. And I think that's what made it just so fast, but really comforting knowing like this is just like a priority for everyone. So I got a CT scan, which required radiation pumped into my body, like a high dosage. They followed the tumor. They said they were sort of seeing what it did and what was happening. And then I was going to get another EUS to investigate. And I showed up to that appointment and the doctor was extremely blunt. And he said to me, I was laying on the bed and he comes up to me, he's like, look, I don't know heaps about your story, just sort of go over it. You know, the surgeon hasn't really told me much. And I explained, he's like, carcinoid, yeah, it'll kill you. He's like, they tell you they're low grade, but it will kill you. Steve Jobs died of carcinoid. And I was like, okay, great. And then I come out of that procedure and he said, yeah, you need a Whipples. And a Whipples was the operation of half of my pancreas removed, half of my stomach removed, or sorry, part of my stomach removed and part of my bowel removed to realign my digestive system. So really what that meant was your food goes down, your stomach and your bile, your food and your bile goes through your stomach and down. Mine is now like this. Food, bile, meat's in the middle. He said, you need it. You need it 100%. And so I had the appointment on the Monday with the surgeon and I was already prepped. I already knew. I took the weekend to accept, well, you know, if I didn't get this removed, it was going to be in my body anyway. So that's what happened. And everything went quite quickly after that. I mean, my operation was delayed a little bit because of renovations in the hospital. And I want to talk about the hospital journey. This was just me sharing how I got to where I am and where I am now, which is a lot removed, 4 weeks in hospital. But the good sign is I don't have cancer. I didn't need chemo. The tumours were scaled in a good, from very good to very bad scale. I see an oncologist and I have my surgeon to continue to see, but this is a 6-month recovery for me and I'm officially in week 8 now. So really I want to go through so much more to share across my whole journey in hospital. There's just so many topics that I want to share with you, but the point of this was to introduce you to the journey. And really, like, how I got here, it's just neglect, like pure neglect, not listening to my body. And I stem it back to, 2015, of very high stress in my early 20s. And I mean, that's not to say like, don't live your life. But, I suppressed a lot with alcohol, a lot of problems that I had with alcohol. I partied a lot, sleep when you're dead mentality, and I did not look after my body. I wouldn't say I was unfit. I played sport, I went to the gym. Really, what you need to understand is your health is all you have. And if you don't have that, you've got nothing. I had to try and manage a business whilst in hospital. No income, try to earn an income whilst from my hospital bed, connected to tubes, connected to everything. And I would never wish this upon anyone else. But I know that this journey happened to me to share, and that's why I'm sharing it. That's all there is to it. That's exactly why I'm sharing it, because I have a voice and I want you to understand that taking control of your own health, your own life is up to you. No one else can do it for you. So stay tuned for more episodes. Hopefully I don't cry in those too, because I've just completely wrecked my makeup. We won't be doing any makeup tutorials on this channel. But I just need to share that intro with you, and then I have just so much to share on this whole journey. And you know, it's 6 years, but really like the tough part has been these last 3 months, because I was oblivious this whole time, you know, a bit of vomiting, a bit of diarrhea. You know, now this is my life. As Simple Plan says, welcome to my life. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see more of my journey. I'll put the handle below. Subscribe if you want to follow my journey. You can follow me on TikTok as well. I'd love to hear from you. Pop a comment if this resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next video.